If you came to meet good people, better products, and learn a whole lot about brilliant PoE, self-healing, and spend some time with the field crew, you are 100% in the right place. I want to thank everybody that came out to join us. This is the Intellinet Network Solutions webinar for the month of October. This is part two. Great host of characters that are out. I want you to meet an old friend, Ryan Okamoto. There, everybody just knows him as Oki. Oki's here from Brilliant. We're going to get in and talk quite a bit. The one, the only, the sidekick to my kick, or the side to my kick, is Don from our customer service team. He's pretty incredible as well. Knows more about ethical hacking than anybody I have ever spoken to. I, of course, am Pete Hollenhorst. I work as the Director of National Business Development, and I am so glad that you're here joining us either live or watching us on the redo. We're going to get into a whole lot of really good things today. Part of the agenda, we're going to talk about a brilliant idea. I knew these guys were getting close, and we had heard some rumors, and then I walked on the CDO show floor, and we're going to get a really cool update from Ryan at, I can't even say Ryan, Oki at Brilliant. Don's going to talk to us about self-healing networks and really why you want to do that. I'm going to take you through that Performance Pro aspect that's out there. You know us, you've seen my shirt, you've seen me out on the floor doing this webinar. Today, we're talking about Intellinet. We're a part of an overall brand called IC Intercom, and they've got offices all over Mexico, Asia, all places I want to go. And if you're watching this, you're one of those 70,000 partners that we have worldwide. We do have more of a consumer brand that's on Manhattan. They do some cool things as well, microphones and keyboards and mice, some really cool things. And then these two brands, Intellinet and Manhattan, bring a lot of really good things. One of the reasons why I'm here is to showcase that integrity and that passion. And we're going to talk to you about, really good satisfaction and proactive engagement, which is what we're doing now. The big reason, though, to pay attention is that you can see with the guys that we have here and the folks that we work with, we're building products for daily use. We want to make sure that we're not just bringing fluff. Like, these are products that you're going to use in every single installation that's out there, and not just some SKUs, but in these calls, we're really going to focus on those key SKUs and the key partnerships, things that you're going to want to use habitually and form the backbone of your installation. And those backbone products are things that you're using every single day. This is part of the field crew. I've got 30 SKUs that we talk about day in and day out, of things that you've got to have on the truck. You've got to make sure are in your proposal that are out there. And we do this because the products that we carry, about 90% of them are part of that active and passive networking needs that are out there. We've got a great streamlined purchase. We do have a direct program, but one of the best parts of what we're doing right now is that we've also got a really strong distribution program. Midstate is one of them. We're working with the guys at Powerhouse Alliance, which does a great job. We've got a whole line of comprehensive security distributors, and all of us are here to help you with that quality and, more importantly, that support that comes across. When we talk about Intellinet, one of the big things that we're known for is PoE, and that's one of the core focuses that we're going to talk about today. But PoE isn't where we stop. Don's done a really good job of educating. I actually got my chance about a month and a half ago to terminate my first run of fiber, which was interesting. And then I called and I'm like, hey, we should probably have some cables that do this. And they were like, no, we sell those too at a much higher speed that's out there. But we've got fiber optic patch cables. I've learned more about cabling over the last 25 years of my career. We started with Cat 5e, and then actually 5A, then 5e. We're at Cat 6, 6A, Cat 8, and some really great dedicated fiber as well. Patch panels, racks, cabinets, on mine, anything that you're installing that's utilizing PoE. And at the end of all of that, we've got the tools, we've got the testers, and we've got the knowledge that's going to be able to support you and go through. So a lot of really good things. Uncle Armando's here to support you all, and he's walking through, getting to a quiet area. Some of the big things. So today we're going to talk a lot about PoE. We're going to talk about technology. Next month we've got a great one for outdoor, and we're going to get more into good warranties and all the great reasons to be able to support. But let me get into it, kind of the star and the anchor of what we brought in. the stellar background and even better hair that doesn't last, by the way, um, by Fred, but a brilliant idea for September's webinar. Please welcome into the field crew right now, Ryan Akamoto, who's joining the field crew. Armando's getting in, getting settled. Dawn's here. We're going to take care of you, but we're going to turn that mic and the attention over to Ryan. Ryan, welcome to the field crew.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy to be here on this second of 2 webinars today, but definitely bringing the energy for both, but happy to delve into any and everything and share some perspective on devices, smart home, PoE, and all that good stuff.
Love you talking about that. So why don't we just get to the getting? I mean, we're going to talk about self-healing in a little bit, but as I'm walking the floor, and I've been a big fan of Bernie, you and I have done some really incredible products. You were there when we brought OLED out at LG.
Yeah.
You and I talked about carbon fiber filtration, or sorry, carbon filtration and refrigeration and charbroiling. But
there's some old stuff. So for context, don't be deceived by the youthful exuberance. Been in this space about 15 to 17 years now, roughly. So not a season to some of you, but I've been around the block a little bit. Started off in electronics and appliances with Pete once upon a time at LG in another life. Worked at a couple startups you might have known of, like Sonos and Eero. I've been my last 6 years here at Brilliant. So really just entirely in the smart home space with gadgets and gizmos. So very familiar. And Pete, I'm still hanging a 47 LH90 full array backlit 240 hertz TV, 1080p.
That's awesome.
It's still an amazing TV. I still have that hung up in the bedroom.
It's a solid product with that crimson back that's out there. Now, where you guys really astounded me, and what a great team you guys have, and some of the distributors that you guys are working with and your dealers are absolutely incredible. So I'm walking CD and I'd heard rumors of it. And then here's Gray, and he's like, hey, you got to check this out. And you're actually going to showcase it. So I knew Brilliant as this really great aggregate panel. That one, I knew it as this really great panel that was out that did amazing things, intercom features, and just total control. But the one thing that I was always asking for, and the field crew has been asking for, is what do I do if I don't have a licensed electrician? And then you guys hit the sweet spot and you went and did something amazing where you're like, hey, that's a lot of wires. Let's just pull one wire and it's right there. So tell us about this and how all the goodness that's there in that awesome 2 gang. Keep going.
Yeah. So absolutely. So for those that aren't familiar, we are a smart home control system and platform. The whole idea is we can tie in your lights, locks, doorbells, thermostats, speakers, shades, garage doors, plugs, security system, all of that into one simple and easy to use experience. The big difference, though, is that there's no extra gear, no extra hubs, no extra wires, no long-term contracts, no monthly fees, none of that stuff. So whereas there are those premium control systems which do absolutely incredible and amazing things. I always sing their praises and you should continue to sell those. But we are trying to address that client that wants more than your Apple, Google, Amazon, but less than the Crestron Savant Control Force. We're going to give you about 90% of what those premium control systems can do for 10% of the cost is the whole idea, because that's a massively under-addressed market right now. And that can really scale from your production builders all the way up to your semi-luxury and even some luxury homes, depending on what that experience is. That is, gets the whole family and spousal approval. A way I like to think about it is a smart home really that smart if it's not easy for every single person that walks through that front door, meaning not just myself who's tech forward, but my wife, the kids, my parents who are in their 70s. Like if they can't use it, is it really that smart? So that's where we're really trying to bridge the gap, simplifying the solution and give it that custom look that truly is built in without the need for plugging stuff in the walls, without the need for the subscription services and things like that. And we're going to tie in with those devices that a lot of your clients probably already have or have heard about at least, like your Sonos speakers, your Ring doorbells, your Nest and Ecobee thermostats, across all those categories that I talked about. So maybe you have a preferred lock brand, August Schlage, Kwikset, or Yale. Like, we don't care. We're going to work with all those brands. Is the whole idea behind it. So it's a massively under-addressed market. But to Pete's point, this was such a big focus for us at CEDIA this year was, hey, about a year ago, we had a rebranding and a refocus. Brilliant was founded back in 2017, and the first product was in 2018. But the original founder wanted it to kind of be all things to everybody, is what it felt like. So we had a retail channel, which I know we hate to hear. We had a pro. We were also looking into solar and energy efficiency and security and all these different things. And we weren't really maniacally focused on what the product was telling us and what our clients were telling us. And our clients are really you, the dealers. We're B2B2C. We're not B2C. And a year ago, we made a conscious effort to say, hey, what is the product telling us? What are the people telling us? It's telling us that we are a professional product. So the last year has been really nice to be able to come back and bring that story to the table. And it started off with, first, we cut retail. So no Amazon, no Best Buy, no Home Depot, no none of that stuff. You don't have to worry about playing whack-a-mole. You can theoretically still get us on our website directly, brilliant.tech, but it's always full retail price. So you are price protected on that. We're not doing discounts for the holidays, Father's Day, any of that stuff. So you don't have to worry about that. In addition to that, we were able to raise our price points and raise our margins with our second generation of product. It's faster, beefed up the guts. Now the experience is much more like your iPhone, so very snappy and responsive. Don't need to get into the specifics of it. But then third, the big thing, as Pete was saying, when we were doing CDA, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, it was, this is cool, but I don't have an electrical license. Well, now I got to sub this out to an electrician and I'm losing my margins. So the big thing was, can you get us POE? Can you get us POE? And at CEDIA, we were debuting POE in our booth. So not only did we have live Brilliant controls that were POE, we were also controlling a Sonos Era Pro 100 that was also POE. In addition to that, the Ring doorbell was also POE. So we're showing off a collective POE solution that was instantaneous and perfectly responsive. So this is not necessarily going to replace our old product if you're familiar with the electrical wires, if you have the electrician, but this opens up so much more for you as pros to place these exactly where you want to place them, not be bound by the height of the existing electrical gang box, not have to worry about your multi-ways, four-way configurations, different lighting loads and everything that's tied into it. Additionally, by going to PoE, now you get to make money on pulling your Ethernet cable as well. You get to sell that into the home, but being a Wi-Fi based platform, we're also alleviating any sort of stress within the network, the more devices that we can hardwire. So it was big for us to truly listen to what you were asking for. And this is now going to be available in Q4. So I have this right now. I'm currently testing it in my home, trying to squash any last final bugs to make sure it was 100% perfect for you when it comes out here in Q4. But honestly, it's been a delight to test. It's been a delight to share our story of how we're back in the professional world. And one of the big things that happened at CEDIA for us was we actually got second place, or the silver award, for best smart home deployment under $150,000. A gentleman by the name of Tony Smalls is our top integrator. Beautiful home in Park City, Utah. You email me, oki@brilliant.tech, sales@brilliant.tech. Happy to share it with you. It's actually on our YouTube site as well. You can find it just to see what's really possible within our system. So for those that want to go all out, we can do that. For those that want a simpler experience, it's there. But really, for every opportunity where you're walking into a home and you see, oh, there is a Sonos speaker over there. Oh, they do have a Google Nest thermostat. They're already getting into the smart home space. And it's something we have to really start looking into, is how can I start to provide a holistic solution as opposed to these individualized experiences. So, I still have an old habit of walking into homes and I'm looking at the appliances, and Pete knows this, like, what appliances do they have? What router do they have? What's the tech that they have? It's just a force of habit. Just now, as I try to teach and coach, let's holistic sell, let's look at experiences. These are things that should be catching your eye. I know you just got brought in to maybe set up a network, but if you're seeing these devices, you can also provide your added value, sell you and what you do best with these different types of solutions. So we're trying to give you that opportunity really with what Brilliant offers. So that was a long-winded kind of response of who we are and what we do, but Pete, you can chime in off of that. You're muted, Pete, sorry. The classic muting.
Thank you. No, it's a classic muting. No, you burned through three slides. So, but I love you because you're taking great space.
We can space it out a little bit as we approach each slide. It's more
it is. So look, one of the things that I love is, and it's the second time you've done it, is you downplayed this a little bit of, hey, we took this and we took second place and it was in this category that's there. Like I absolutely love right now that you're a control platform right now, but I love the fact that you're an affordable control platform. You talk about that sub $150,000 space. I absolutely love where you guys are positioned and everything else. Where does that factor in though for the installed solutions community? Because look at when we talk about a price point to that, naturally people are already, they're kind of grinding down. They're like, oh, maybe it's this or maybe that. you can play up, and you can, I don't want to take your thunder, but you can play up and play down. On our last session, we kind of talked about that artistic space, and my daughter's saying, don't, and this is our old friend Pat Murray that says, don't spend money on ugly there. But what is a product like this when it's PoE? What is a product like this when it is what it is? What does that do for the community today that's listening?
I really opens up a whole world of not just connected solutions, but standardizing on what the smart home is and really should be. Because builders today have already started or begun to standardize on the smart home, from a smart lock, a smart doorbell, and a smart thermostat. And great, they call it a day, and that's their smart home package. The reality is that's not a smart home. That's just an amalgamation of smart devices. That's where whether you have the relationship with the builder or you're coming into the custom space or even on a remodel, you add your value to say, hey, you don't want this solution. And I know I'm pulling out my phone right here, that you have your home control folder and it has all those apps. No, it gets worse. You have all of those. And
Oh, wow.
yes, you have all of those. And like, I use all of these. If I didn't have Brilliant, I would be in all of these all the time. And that doesn't really make sense. So whether it's 2 devices or 20 devices across brands, it's becoming a standard now. So the same way, and I use this analogy in the first session, and when I do trainings, people hear this all the time, but we're going to be talking about the smart home the same way that we talk about cars today. And what I mean by that is, if I was to go out and buy a new car, I wouldn't say, hey, Don, hey, Pete, hey, Armando, check out my new smart car. You look at me like, why the hell is he calling it a smart car? That just doesn't make sense. It's your car. We expect it to be smart now. The infotainment system, they pretty much drive themselves. The smart home is evolving into this same thing of, you're not going to call it a smart home. You're just going to call it your home. And the expectation of technology is just going to be there. So that's where you can now use your expertise in understanding, well, if this is a fully Wi-Fi based home and platform, how can I alleviate the needs of the Wi-Fi network? So it makes it easier and more stress-free. Well, hey, PoE is the solution. What are those devices that I can tie in? And you look at these bigger brands, Ring, they're making PoE solutions. Sonos, they're making PoE solutions. Of course, you can sell what is right for you and your business and what is right for that client. Your top-down selling, absolutely go through that, but note that foundationally, things are moving in this direction because Wi-Fi networks, though Wi-Fi is getting stronger and better. I worked for a Wi-Fi network and I was asked, hey, should I connect to Wi-Fi or should I hardwire in? I would say 100% hardwire in if you can. The hardwire connection is always going to be the best, always going to be the most reliable, always the most accessible for potential troubleshooting as well. But when you can't hardwire devices, I would challenge you to try and hardwire a smart door lock. You got electronic door strikes, but it's not Ethernet hardwired. Like, that doesn't work like that. So you can't do it for every single device. So where can we alleviate the stress? How can we make our devices that we rely on perform better in these solutions? And for us as our platform, and as we've gone into PoE, it makes sense in multiple price points, because yes, we went for under 150 grand, but our starting retail MSRP is $550. We see with our dealers, our average cart size is roughly $5,000. So they're putting together solutions that are inclusive of our controls to go into, sorry, let me grab the PoE one's a little bit better, to go into the high, yeah, I'm not going to grab the wired one. We're here about PoE. So forget this one, chuck it out the window. But this, and then you tie in whatever lighting solution you're offering, Lutron Caseta, Raw2 Select, Philips Hue, Wemo, TP-Link, Casa, all that stuff. And we are that, hey, great, this is a group lights, this is my Sonos volume. But these controls essentially go in the high traffic locations when we think about, style and design. I was actually just on a call yesterday with a design company. They're like, man, are you going to the kitchen and bath show? It's like, well, we'll be on the other side of the builder side. They're like, no, you got to come to the kitchen and bath side for the design, because we have designers, architects that we spec in these premier systems, but it's not the design and form factor that we want. This goes in those high traffic locations, kitchens, living rooms, offices, game rooms, things like that. But this screen, what you're not seeing, is actually a digital photo album. So people can upload up to 50 of their favorite photos. So I'm always, who's coming over? I'm uploading stupid, silly photos of them. So they come and they're like, really? That's the photo you picked? I'm like, absolutely. I have friends from middle school, elementary school. I busted out an old yearbook, took some photos, uploaded. They're like, face palm. I'm like, this is exactly what we want. But the technology should be inviting and not necessarily a wall wart. And this size and design, if somebody sees it, well, they're engaged by the photos and then they can delve a little deeper. But This is not some big giant iPad that's in the, even the iPad mini is still a large screen to put in the wall. This, it's clean, it's simple, it's efficient, it just makes sense. So when we want to deliver a truly custom look, now we can do that. And with PoE, place it anywhere. If I wanted to place one right here, great, drop an Ethernet cord to right there. Put it a little bit higher. If we're tall, if we're working with tall sports athletes, oftentimes we're working with athletes, they're tall too. So there's no wrong way to build the system. And that's having the knowledge and expertise that you provide. Say, okay, here's the devices that you're going to use. Even if I'm working with competitive builders, builder A on one side of the street says they want to be a secure smart home. Builder B wants to be an energy efficient smart home. Now we can start to build those packages with other smart devices. What's the control platform? What's the control experience? A PoE Brilliant that can go anywhere. And now you can build and grow and guide that homeowner, guide that consumer to what's the right solution for them.
This is that place too that you and I don't know, one of us came up with it and then the other started using it, or maybe we both came up with it. But
I'm saying you came up with it. I haven't heard it. You came up with it. I'm saying you, Pete.
Okay. Turning the house into a home. You know your home, so I just moved and I've been kind of public about it. About 9 months ago, I moved to the great state of Texas. You have to say that, by the way. It's the great state. And then where it is, it's never Ohio, because every time, it's like the Ohio. No, it's the
Hey, don't hate on Cleveland.
Of Ohio. Just very good. I'm just going to keep moving. But look, it's the big part for me. Like, so this is one of the smaller houses I've been in. I've done a couple of moves. I'm at about 2,000 square feet that's out there. But electrical plugs are a premium. And I started off with a wireless network. I went to PoE, and all of a sudden, I'm freeing up now. I'm freeing up 4 different electrical plugs. Your product, though, because it's PoE, I'm able to bring in lighting into different areas. As I'm explaining, I literally FaceTime my daughter from your booth, and she was like, "Oh, it's awesome." She's like, "I can put up taco pictures on Tuesday when it's Taco Tuesday." And I'm like, "We're not doing that." And she was like, "You kind of want to see a taco when you wake up." And I'm like, I'm gonna not go into any bit of customization like that. But I love that you're doing yearbook photos. This is a little bit crazy. I'm amazed. You and I both have talked a lot about Wi-Fi, and there is a place for that. But even good Wi-Fi, stable Wi-Fi, and an access point comes from a wired network that's out there. And great lighting, great control, really, that stability of that control and the opportunity to mix in comes from not just the electrical side that you're there. Like I'm over the moon, Oki, about what you guys are doing from PoE. I think it's going to open up so many different capabilities. I can't wait to see it that's out there. I'm going to throw you the biggest softball that's out. Talk to the field crew, talk to the guys that are out. What's the one thing you would want the install community to know for the upcoming season? Where should they focus? What is it? You kind of alluded to it. It's not just a smart home and walking the opportunity, but dive in just a touch more. Where would you encourage the guys to take a look, or just the field crew to take a look at today?
It's really every home you're walking into. It's the solution selling, which seems very basic and rudimentary, but you'd be surprised how many people aren't doing it, with just being aware of what you're walking into in the homes. I mentioned, like, hey, you walk into a home and you see a Nest thermostat or an Ecobee or even a Honeywell, you're like, oh, they probably have a smart device. They probably have an app for that. I can provide a solution. Hey, I see a Sonos speaker. Hey, wouldn't it be cool if you could control your Sonos remotely? Well, we can do that at Brilliant. If you're familiar, I'll quickly do this here. I'll turn off the Wi-Fi on my phone real quick. And if you're familiar with Sonos, unfortunately, if you're not home, no Wi-Fi, no worky for the Sonos app. Whereas the Brilliant app, you jump on in. Great, I can go to my music, and there's all my rooms of Sonos. So we can help you. So the kids that say, oh, yeah, no, I turned the music off before we left. Did you? You can actually check for that sort of stuff. So when you're walking the homes, just be aware, be present. I saw a smart lock. Oh, are you using that? Well, yeah, a little bit. Why don't we make it so it automatically turns, like, locks your door and your lights turn off automatically at 11 o'clock at night? I was asked, I actually got a text from, I didn't share the story on the previous one, but 10:30 at night, text from my neighbor, hey, bud, like, your garage door's still open. Hey, no worries. Appreciate you letting me know, but in the future, don't worry about it. Automatically closes at 11. He's like, you can do that? I'm like, yeah, dude, you're younger than me. You're in your 30s. I'm in my 40s. Like, what are you talking about? You should know this stuff by now. But really, smart devices, since they're becoming ubiquitous, so many people still don't have a platform, or they try to piecemeal it, and they don't want a consumer offering with Amazon, Google, or Apple. They want something that's elevated, and we can provide that to them without having to break the bank. So, it's really coming down to knowing what's there, knowing the value that you add and what you bring to the table. So people are like, yeah, I paid a little bit, but I'm getting this much more out of it for what I already have in my home and what is possible is really the idea.
Yeah, I feel like to the installer community, this brilliant solution, quoting on a day-to-day basis, quoting this into your projects will put you above maybe who your competitors are. Maybe your competitors are just coming in saying, hey, I just need to run cable for PoE solutions. But maybe the installer community will say, well, guess what? I have this brilliant smart home system that I can also quote you to give you a full smart home solution versus maybe some of the competitors are just going in there with blinders on, pretty much. So that might set you apart from some of the competitors that are out there trying to quote the customer on a PoE solution.
Exactly, because a lot of them right now are just individualized products, not a
Right.
true solution of like, hey, yeah, they're doing smart shade, they're doing PoE shades, they're doing PoE lights, doing all this stuff, but like, what's tying it all together? How is it engaged with the home? How's the homeowner? How are the kids? How's the family? Are they actually using it? Or is it always, hey, dad, or hey, mom, whoever's the tech person, and they're in control of everything? Like, that's not a smart home. And just the flexibility of our system to make it so everybody that walks through that front door can use it. That's where you can start to differentiate and be like, no, there's not trying to make a monthly contract. There's no extra gear that you got to worry about. It's just these, and we can start to piecemeal. And then they realize, oh, wait, I can intercom across the house. Yeah, it's a wireless intercom system. Oh, wait, from my phone, I can remote into the home as well and have a two-way conversation. Yeah, you can absolutely do that sort of stuff. Those are just—
it ties everything together, which is great.
Yeah. I mean, you can even get really creative on our feature set. So we have motion detection, occupancy vacancy. So, hey, when there's motion on this, I want it to turn on my Philips Hue lights. I want the lights in the other room to turn on. I want my smart plug to turn on and stuff like that. Or if there's no motion, I want these specific lights to turn off. And it's not what we're wired to. It's just what's tied into the system. So again, creative experiences. Even the fact that, hey, now I have a tactile volume control for Sonos, and it takes me, 10 seconds to map it? Like, our training for our product, it's not a week, it's not 3 days, it's not even a day. You can complete our Brilliant Certified Expert program in probably a couple hours. It's designed to be that simple.
I was just going to go there. So look, I'm going to give you that 30, we'll give you a minute there. But take the time, get a good plug in. You talked about your certification. I agree. I think it's one of the most brilliant places that you can go for certification. I'm cracking myself up there. But look, if guys want to know more about this, and I say guys in the pejorative, if an installer in the field crew wanted to learn more about Brilliant, how do they get in contact with you? Where is it that they go? What's all the great pedigree information? And more importantly, when, Ryan? Because like I'm
ready. So I'll answer the when first. So PoE is coming Q4. So we're wrapping up our testing right now, production, manufacture, and all that. So this will be available Q4. What's great about this, I mentioned price point, starting price point $550 for our traditional wired product. It goes up every time you add a gang. So $550, $600, $650, $700. That's all listed on our website publicly. This is going to be specific to the professionals only. The price will not be listed on our website, brilliant.tech. It'll say contact a Brilliant professional for pricing. Suggested MSRP is $650. You, of course, would get your dealer margins, and then whatever, if you could sell it for $1,000, sell it for $1,000. You know the value, you know your clientele, what you can market towards. So this is specifically for the pros, listening to what pros want. So Q4, we're thrilled for this. The best place to reach out for more information will either be myself, Oki, O-K-I, at brilliant.tech, or sales@brilliant.tech. We can walk you through everything. We have a full training and education program that's digital. We do live as well through myself. I'm kind of our Swiss Army knife, so I lead our sales enablement. That's trainings, that's webinars, that's sales, that's deployments, consultations. I can work with you with plans and blueprints. building a system, all of that we do in support. Speaking of support, our customer support team, brilliant in-house employees based out of our head office in San Mateo, California. Okay, we do not farm it out. It is not third party. It is not some sort of AI bot. So for lack of better words, we care. Now with those humans, it is 9 to 5 West Coast time, Monday to Friday. So, we're not, it's a little late for the East Coasters there, but at least it's humans who work directly for us that care. So that's the big piece of what we're doing as far as picking us up. We have some great distribution partners like Midstate Distribution. You can always reach out to us. We'll tell you who we have regionally near you, or we can potentially take you direct if there's the right opportunity. But again, there's going to be no wrong way to get the product and no wrong way to really go out and pitch and sell it. As long as you understand the experience, we have that free training and education. But we want to onboard you. We want to make sure you're successful out there. And really understand the full scope. And if there's anybody that wants to see this live in action, I host webinars, I host presentations all the time where I give a whole home demo, because my house, bless my wife, she let me install everything. I have lights, locks, doorbells, thermostats, speakers, shades, garage doors, plugs, security. I have everything that we work with. And I take my laptop and I run through the house and we show it in action and we show creating a scene to show how easy it is. It's just, I live with this. I love the stuff. I wouldn't be here if I didn't really believe in the product and the experience. And now with our focus towards the pros, we are on the right track. And listening to you, you guys want a PoE. Now it's coming with PoE. So you have to tell us what's coming next. Even before we were hopping on here, like, hey, the first iteration, it's Ethernet right here. Oh, by the way, 3 watts of power. Okay, 3 watts, that's it. So standard PoE, whether a PoE plus or plus, we're hardly using any because all we're doing is powering up the screen and everything in here. So standard PoE injector is just fine. Where was it going? We were talking before. Oh, initially starting off with our 2 gang. Okay. Hey, remap these sliders to the Sonos and a group of lights, whatever you like. We want feedback from you. Would you like to see it with it's just the touchscreen control? Would you like to see it with more sliders? And that will lead towards actual products being made. So you tell us. We want your feedback, but happy to be a part of all of it.
Awesome. See, I said a minute and you stayed right there. I'll stick to
that was long. That had to have been longer than a minute.
No, you're good. Look, brother, I got so many different things just in that recap. One of the things that actually I'll close with that. You knew me as Plasma Pete. This is actually as I came into LG and was the plasma expert. You knew me under Paul as PD Pete there, and now I quickly think it's going to be PoE Pete that's out. So we've done something really good. You offered some encouragement to the field crew. That's part of what we do here, of knowing your worth. And hear me, brother, because it's that rare moment that I get to say it in front of a whole bunch of different people, or at least everything else. That's one of the big things I think that we've done over the last 20 years is reminding each other our worth and whatnot. I am so grateful for you. I'm so excited to see where Brilliant goes. 3 watts of power. I think you guys have an absolute home run. I can't wait to bring it on. You're going to do some really great things. Can't thank you enough for making the investment and coming in on the second one and taking us in a great direction. Don's quickly toggling his mic. Right now, he's in the batter's box warming up, taking some cuts and swings. So we are going to bid you, sir, a good adieu. Get back to it. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of different questions. Keith's already going to be emailing you and asking, about Midstate and what they can do. So good on everybody. And Don, when you're ready, make sure that you're off of mute. There you go. We'll take you right into that next slide. Brian, thank you so much. It's good to see you.
Brian,
absolutely. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate the time. Take care.
All right. Folks, in a half hour, we were able to cover quite a bit with Brilliant and hear some really cool things. The back half of this is even stronger. We got Uncle Armando warming up on deck right now, but we've also got Don, who's going to take us through self-healing switches. 2 of my favorite products are in this deck, so I can't wait, Don, for you to go through. But tell us a little bit, tell the field crew a little bit about what's going on here.
Yeah, sure. So today we're going to talk about self-healing switches, and we really have a couple features that we discuss with self-healing. So we're going to talk about self-healing, what that is. The basic is there is a PD alive check. Basically, on that individual port, your switch will send out a message saying, hey, what's going on in this port? Or it'll send out a message to your camera, hello, the camera will return hello. And essentially it uses that to make sure that the device is still connected and it's still working properly. If it's not, and then we're going to assume that device is off. and it's going to recycle, but just that port. So we have something on port 8 and that camera goes down. We're going to turn off port 8 because the camera is no longer responding, but we're not going to affect the other 1 through 7. So that's a really great part of self-healing, is we're going to turn off just that one port, power cycle it, bring it back on, and then you don't have to send somebody out to go up there with a ladder like you used to have to do with the PoE or the non-PoE cameras that have the Siamese cable, where you'd have one for the Ethernet, then one for the power. It's a little like 5-bolt. And you'd have to, I might have to do this weekend for a couple of friends, go up onto the ladder, unplug the PoE or unplug the Siamese cable, and then power cycle it that way. So that's a lot more difficult. With PoE, it's a lot simpler. You just do it on the switch, and you don't even have to do anything. The switch will automatically know, okay, camera number 5 on port 8 is having an issue. Let's turn it off and power cycle it. So the other feature is that PoE watchdog. This is another feature that's really great. And what it's cycling is based on CPU load. So if a device hits 90% to 100 CPU load, we can assume something is wrong. Either that device is frozen, that device is getting a whole ton of information it shouldn't. So maybe there's a cyber attack and somebody's trying to get in through and brute force the camera. Well, cameras don't have really strong processors, so you'd see a sudden spike on that camera. So we'll know once it gets to like that 85, 90%, and we can set it custom. And then once it hits that CPU threshold, we're going to turn it off, and then it's going to turn off just, again, that port 8 connected to our camera. Port 8 is going to go off and come back on. The next one is green Ethernet, where we're going to talk about how if we're not using a port, it's going to turn off power to it to save you guys a little bit of money. The last, which is really great, is loop back protection. So maybe one of your techs, they forgot their coffee in the morning and they connected switch 3 in the server rack to switch 4, and they put like 4 cables and they didn't trunk them. They just have like 2 cables in there. They forgot where stuff goes. It happens. But when that happens in a network, it creates a loop that brings down the whole network. With our loopback prevention, that won't happen. Your whole network won't go down, and you'll be able to quickly kind of rebound, take apart that double connection, and get the system back up and running. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. So we're talking about self-healing here. The simplest part about self-healing is we're doing that PD alive check, and we're saying, okay, is that camera still up? And then we're going to talk a little bit about the other feature here, which is our PoE watchdog. So with those two, we're really seeing, is that camera up? Is there anything kind of behavior-wise that might be strange about this camera? And we have 2 things that we check for. Is it on? And is the CPU at a high load where it's kind of freaking out? Is basically the best way to say our camera is it's in panic mode. So if the camera gets into panic mode where it's above 90% CPU load, we're just going to turn it off, turn it back on again, and that's going to stop the error. So that's really why you want to use these 2 features, and it's all built in. There's nothing you have to do. So let's go on to the next slide, and we're going to talk about the switches that have this built in.
One thing, if I could jump in,
yeah, go for it.
Is this is a big, and I can't stress this enough, a big time and money saver feature that we have built into our PoE switches. All of our managed PoE switches come with the self-healing software built into it, and we have select ones that we're showing you now that also have the self-healing built into it. But in a real-time case, and you could correct me, Don, if I'm wrong, from the time that switch recognizes that it lost connection to that PoE camera, let's say, it's probably 2-minute process, if not less. Is that correct, Don?
Yeah, it's going to be really, really short period of time. Usually the customers won't even notice.
Right. By the time they can find the phone number to call the installer, the people we're speaking to today, that camera will be back up and running already.
Yeah.
Go right ahead, Don. Sorry.
Okay. No, that's perfect. Thank you, Armando. So these are unmanaged, and that's something kind of unique about Intellinet is we have unmanaged PoE switches with this self-healing feature. everything that is managed already has this, but then the unmanaged also gives you a benefit. And we talk a lot in our training videos about the difference between unmanaged and managed. Unmanaged is great if you have maybe some newer techs that have issues logging into a switch. They might not have a solid networking background, and that's fine. And unmanaged switches have it where essentially the newer tech doesn't have to know a whole lot about networking. They don't need a Network Plus. They don't need a CCNA. They just plug it in and their cameras are set up. So let's go to the next one, and we're going to see a little bit of our managed. Awesome. So these are kind of the managed in the middle. We have bigger ones, but we have these for where we have managed switches with self-healing. The other feature that we're going to talk about probably more in another session is Domotes. All of these managed switches have Domotes. Domotes is a third-party app that provides cloud management systems. And you'd be able to log in, see which devices are on. And when we talk about security, Domotes is a great tool that we have with Intellinet because you can see, for example, hey, there's a new user on our network. Well, why? And Domotes was so specific when we tested in the office. We could see, for example, oh, somebody's interviewing for a job. That's why there's a new phone on the network. That's great. Otherwise, we would say, okay, let's turn that user's access off and delete that user from the network. And if nobody comes up to tell you in IT, hey, why does my computer work? We're like, okay, cool. And then we'll look into it more. We'll take it apart. And if there's something we have to report, we can say, okay, there is unauthorized access at this time from this computer, from this IP, from this MAC address. So you get this awesome information, and you can really secure your network with it. And let's go to the next slide that talks more about the larger end, the corporate switches that we have. So we have our 24 port and our 54 ports here. The 24 port that we have, this first one is the PoE with 2 SFP ports. So those SFP ports are what you'd use to connect a switch to a fiber optic cable. And if you have, maybe you have 2 colleges use these a lot. So we'll use USF as an example. USF has about a 5 square mile campus. So if I was setting up an install there and I needed to get someone's office connected directly to the library, you could use a fiber optic cable and run that from maybe the math department, engineering department that's about a quarter mile away. I could use a fiber optic cable and then connect them there. To show even longer distances with fiber optics, the University of Florida has 2 campuses that are about 10 kilometers away. We have the feeder school and then UF's main campus. So we have the community college and then UF, and then we have one fiber optic line that would connect Santa Fe College to University of Florida. And that one cable provided all of our internet and all of our internal networking for state libraries, a whole bunch of systems. And it was really cool. It was actually done just by one buried cable. So when we talk about SFPs, that's what you can do. When we go back down to, we're like zooming back down into just your network rack, we can also use DAC cables or small SFP fiber jumpers or small fiber optic jumpers where we connect switch 5 on the rack to switch 4. And then we're using that fiber optic because we get a better connection. Speed-wise, it's usually faster, but it also has lower latency. You just get a better quality connection there. And you can also, the other great benefit is you can go much further than the distance of PoE. So we're talking about, there's those 2 schools that are 10 kilometers away. We can connect them with a fiber optic cable. So then when we talk about our 54 port, a few of our installers really love these because they can use them for schools and they'll have the entire school's network of cameras just on 2 or 3 of these. So our 54 port really stands out because it has that high power budget. So if I wanted to probably use 2 or 3 of these for an elementary school, we could cover the whole school, have it in a centralized location, and then have a separate internet connection to it. So then that the security or the IT team would be able to log in and say, okay, we had an incident at 3, what happened, and then bring back up that footage of the cameras. So let's go now to our next slide, and we're going to talk a little bit about these features, just kind of wrap up a little bit. So we talked about PDU Watchdog or PD Watchdog, which is, remember this as CPU load. And if the CPU load is high, we're showing either frozen computer or a frozen security camera, or we're showing a frozen, or we're showing signs of a cyber attack. But either way, with PD Watchdog, we're saying, okay, there's high CPU load on this camera. Something is going wrong. We do not want that. So the switch will automatically turn it off in just that one camera that has the issue, and then turn it back on in a few seconds. So loopback prevention, we talked about that loop. Maybe one of our techs just forgot their coffee in the morning, and we plugged in the switch on the third rack with the one to the fourth, and we used 2 cables. So instead of bringing down the network, because we have packets that are going out and then coming back in an endless loop, we have a prevention for that. And you kind of get an alert, and you're able to say, oh, okay, we just got to go into the server room. We got to unplug that one extra cable. Green Ethernet lets us turn off any ports that aren't being used. And then lastly, the next thing we're going to talk about is one of my favorite features in this bundle is PoE scheduling. So PoE scheduling lets us turn on or off our Wi-Fi access points and really any device that's connected to a PoE switch. Why this is essential is because of Wi-Fi access points. As you can see here, that top device is kind of like a small device that you'd use for a Wi-Fi based attack. So this would be a physical cyber attack where you try to get into like a school or an office. And some of the ways this has been done in the past is someone would sit in the parking lot of a company and they would try to get into the Wi-Fi. So a very common password is the year the company was formed, the month that the IT guy started. So there's only 12 months. And then we're thinking, okay, when was this company founded? Oh, it was 20 years ago. So there's 12 months, 20 years. You can write a script that just goes through that all day and changes its indicators of compromise. So maybe it changes its IP, it goes from different sources. We have a whole bunch of different ways to do that. So this little device would be something that would do it. And it doesn't always look that menacing. So for example, I have similar penetration testing or ethical hacking, teaching people how to prevent hacking in their networks. I have similar tools in this phone, and to the average user, it just looks like a phone. So with PoE scheduling, we turn all of these Wi-Fi attacks just off. If, for example, we're a school, we're an office, I can say Friday, everybody's out of the office by 6:30. Friday, 6:30, all of our Wi-Fi is turned off until maybe we have some people that like to go into the office early on Monday. We're going to turn it back on at 6:30 Monday morning. And with PoE scheduling, we can do that really easily. The tools people use are Aircrack NG, Wi-Fi DAuth attacks, and things like that. And then we have a picture here that shows that how that attack would go and what information you would get. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide.
To be clear, this PoE scheduling, is this just on our managed switches currently?
It is just on managed switches because we have to be able to say, we wouldn't be able to do it on unmanaged switches,
right?
Because we have to have that settings page. But that's a good point. Yeah, it's only on managed switches, but it's a reason that you'd want a managed switch because your managed switches are always a little bit more expensive, but there's reasons why. And these type of security features, there's more of them on managed switches. You get more ability to configure, secure your network, and it ends up keeping your customers safer. And it also gives you more flexibility to make that install work. So if a customer's saying like, oh, it's going to be $50 more, and you're like, well, there's a lot of businesses that have been compromised because of things that we can prevent. Wi-Fi attacks is a big one. There was cyber criminals in the past that would go into restaurants, local restaurants, and guess the Wi-Fi password, enter the network, and then steal credit cards. And then those businesses had huge financial losses. A small family business would likely just kind of go bankrupt after that level of cyber attack. So then we're talking about this a little bit more, where another thing of why you'd want to turn off that Wi-Fi access point is because cyber criminals can use antennas, and you can connect maybe like a half a mile to a quarter of a mile away from the physical location. So one of the really common ones are libraries, schools, and then like restaurants like McDonald's, just because, for example, if you go and you're browsing something at McDonald's in Orlando, well, you could be a tourist and you're just on a holiday. So it doesn't particularly pinpoint you down. So if you're using tools like Tor, other things like that, people have been known to use an antenna and Tor, a VPN, and then they would manage darknet or dark web websites and enterprises, empires essentially, through these unsecured locations that are really hard to track. So if I'm the library and I don't have anyone inside of my library at 8 on a Saturday, I just want it off.
Right.
Or if I'm the restaurant, the library might be great because we're getting kids to read, and any time of the day, that's awesome. But we want to kind of think about, with this feature, how we can turn off Wi-Fi access points and how we can use that to protect our customers. Okay, so let's go to the last slide then. Cool. So we're going to talk a little bit about PoE scheduling and how to actually do this. So it's really easy on all of our Intellinet managed switches, and we have instructions on page 52 to 54, and we'll likely create a short video on this in the future to kind of show people why you'd want to do it and how to do it. There's really just 3 steps. You're going to click on Advanced Application, click on PoE Scheduling, and on this page, you're going to create the rules. Let's go to the next page. Awesome. Okay. So on this next page, whoops, just one back. All right. So on this next page, we're going to create the rules. I'm saying from Sunday, or I'm going to probably say from Friday to Monday at 6, I'm turning off the Wi-Fi. And then on the next page, I'm going to say which ports are my Wi-Fi access ports. So for example, I can just schedule part of the switch because I still want security cameras. I still need security cameras at the office over the weekend, but I don't want Wi-Fi because that opens up my business to some unwanted and undesired attacks. Okay, so let's go to the last one. Awesome. And then this is just that page where you'd go in and you would say, okay, so ports 5, you can do it 1 port at a time, which is what they're doing here. You could say everything from port 1 to port 1 and then just do that individually. Well, that's going to take you more time. So the easier way would be everything from port 5 to port 8 is my Wi-Fi access points. I want them to be applied to Wi-Fi access point rule. You can make a couple rules in here, and then that would set the different times, because maybe there's things that you want on or off, and you can kind of schedule that here. Okay, so I'm going to turn it back over to Pete, and he's going to talk to you guys a little bit more about our Performance Pro program.
Awesome. Armando, we have covered so much on this. I love our self-healing, and that 54 port, absolutely huge. Let's talk together a little bit about that Performance Pro program out for our folks. You know our field crew, but I'm going to give you this next slide here, if you're all right with it, Armando, about the ability to grow together. So talk to the folks about some of the things here that we're doing, if you're okay. I think one of the big reasons, I'll kick us off, is just that commitment to partner success. Good products and support to exactly what we're doing here that helps an installer thrive that's out there. But why don't you talk a little bit about the core SKUs and just talk a little bit about how we go about making these selections and products that we're trying to advise guys on what to bring in.
Well, for us, we're always trying to look at our core products that we carry, and we typically lead with PoE as our core. PoE switches, PoE injectors, PoE extenders, and such. But one thing that I do want to touch on, and this is based on your daily quoting or project quoting that Don spoke very well of, as far as all the different features that are concerned, is when you go into these different commercial, residential, whatever it may be, businesses to quote our Intellinet products, this speaking to the self-healing of the PoE watchdog and the PoE scheduling will put you above and beyond some of our competitors that are out there that either A, won't speak to that, or B, don't have those features built in. So Intellinet as a whole has a whole host of great features that we build into our switches. You'll find it very hard to find that we switch from part number to part number when it comes to our PoE switches. We typically just continue to enhance the products. So if there was a product that we had that maybe didn't have self-healing, we'll include that. So I guess as far as a business standpoint goes, when you're bidding out a job, to be able to speak to the self-healing, PoE watchdog, and all these other great features that Don spoke to, should put you above and beyond some of your competition that's out there.
No, I totally agree. It's one of the big reasons why I came here when it comes to PoE, when it comes to quoting jobs, things like that. And the SKUs that we're talking about today, self-healing, this is a difference maker. You know, one of the other big difference makers is in joining that field crew, is joining in on the webinars. We've got some great emails that are coming out talking about it, PR announcements as well. And you're helping us build products. Armando just talked about it in a big way. Focus, we're going to collectively in the field crew talk about those SKUs you know, that installers are regularly purchasing. We talk to over 2,000 people a day, you know, out there. And what we're doing here is we're trying to create something that's reliable and something that's going to be able to help you in the field and be that difference maker. The best part about it is because we manufacture our own products, because we work with a ton of different factories right now, we have an emphasis on the essential products. When it comes to switches, when it comes to cabling, you know, you've got that's out there. And the background support, just in terms of what you're getting with Don. So big encouragement for you guys to play through. I want to talk about a partnership that we have going on right now with some of our distributors within Powerhouse. There's this great promotion going on with Island Router and Intellinet switches that are out. You know Island, and Island's a completely different type of router manufacturer. They're faster. If you take a look at just their source code, what it is that they're doing in terms of capacity, they're much safer than anything that I've found. That some of the best in class URL filtering and their network segmentation. This is something that Don actually talked about in last month's webinar. In terms of easier, you know, because you're not having to configure firewalls and you're able to set up just a load of features for your installation, does a really great job. I personally love the threat blocking that goes on. I've said it before, it's not an open invitation, but it would be easier for you to break into my house because all of my good stuff is online. This is where my chili recipe is, my fantasy football lineup is being made, and where I'm doing all of my picks. I trust Island to do quite a bit. And they do two configurations. Their Gen 1 is no slouch. You know, 2 million packets a second. Where they really stand out though is this rack mount capability. We're actually running this here in Oldsmar, Florida. This is a rack mountable. It's got 6 2.5 gig ports, 4 10 gigabit ports or SFP routed ports, and the price point is absolutely attractive that's there. This fits really well with our switches. A lot of the self-healing switches that we talked about, we've got cable that's going to be able to support the speeds that are out there, and we've also got injectors that are going to help you do a great job. They also do a great job as a partner. They've got one-on-one trainings, some really strong world-class support, and then product feedback channels. Now, Armando, this is one of that big ones. We're going to get to snap in here very, very quickly. We want to jet through and take advantage of just a little bit of time that we've got left. So do me a favor, if you're on this call right now, or if you're watching it on the replay, I want you to grab your phone. We're going to take just some quick selfies of things. Now, the Performance Pro program, if you want to get direct invites to these presentations, to these webinars, want to get on our mailing list, this is a perfect time. Grab your phone, take a quick picture right now of the Performance Pro program. That's going to be a quick way to install. You can see my orange.
I don't have my phone. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. And then I want you to take a second picture. Hold that up. Take that second picture right now so that you're able to take a quick picture of our customer service phone number. Don's here. He's actually working later than that typical 9 to 5, but that number is 1-888-844-2636, 1-888-844-2636. It's a really, really great job. This is another one that you can come up, grab your phone, take that pick, enroll in the field crew. We'd love to start to have some great conversations. I'm sorry, I keep putting my phone down. We're going to do it again where you're going to take it. Find us out on Facebook, find us on LinkedIn, our website, and then all the cool kids are doing it. In terms of engagement, if you want to get out, you want to take advance notice, I need to change that URL, just realizing that. But for engagement, you definitely want to take a picture there as well. Don does a great job. He'd love to hear from you. 1-888-844-2636, 888-844-2636 is a dedicated hotline. We've also got some incredible YouTube content, which will take you through quite a bit. So you can learn, you can listen, you can reach out, you can touch, but we've got some really incredible stuff that's out there. Sales support, phone number and an email. But look, we'd love to hear from you. Uncle Armando's here. I'm here. You can reach us at sales@icintercom.com, sales@icintercom.com. So at the end of all of this, high energy training, lots of really good information. We're asking you to come over, choose Intellinet. We've got reliable products. One of the biggest things that you're going to find is your network is only as good as the switch that's supporting it. And if you're looking for high quality PoE switches, we've got that. Network equipment, I think, is one of our better standpoints. We've got data center solutions, professional install, security, everything that you're looking for. Don's here with our great expert support, and then we are industry focused. We're CDA dealers, security install, ISP focused. If you have a problem, Armando's got a solution. He wants to take good care of you.
Absolutely.
Now,
we're here to help.
Best part here is that outdoor October. I'm already calling it. We're 2 weeks away, Don. 2 weeks away from October. The spice must flow. We're breaking pumpkins out, but we're also getting outdoors. It's October. It's a PoE focus, and ATEC is going to join the field crew. We've got a really cool one. Maybe Connie's going to join us. Maybe out there. But we've got a whole new webinar series that's coming out. You guys have been absolutely fantastic. Two of the best people that I work with and know and get to talk to on a pretty regular basis is Uncle Armando. He's absolutely incredible. The guy knows everything there is to know, and he's really solution-based, one of the most patient people. Don has introduced me into a world of ethical hacking, but he's also brought up some really good customer service points. He's one of the big reasons why we are successful here. I'm Pete. I work as the National Business Development Manager or Director of Business Development. I'm here as well. You can reach all of us on any of the associated phone numbers. Be good to one another, be good to yourself, and know what you're worth. We can't wait to see you in October. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.